Hey, welcome back to the Coin Box. The 1995-96 Olympic coin dies are pretty special and unique, not only because they were the very first dies officially marketed and sold directly by the US Mint, but they are also highly sought after because they show almost all of the original striking surface on the die, since they were only cancelled with a thin X machined across the face of the die and not completely defaced like most other dies on the market. Now, there are a total of 10 different designs of the $1 silver coin dies and 6 different $5 gold coin die designs, which we'll go over in just a minute. The one I have is the 1995 Track $1 silver coin proof Obverse die, and I also have the coin struck with this die. Well, maybe not the exact die, but we'll just assume it was. I'm happy to have this one because it was designed by John Mercanti, 12th Chief Engraver of the US Mint, who of course also designed the reverse of the original American Silver Eagle. Also, you may not know this, but I used to compete in track and field, specifically the sprints. And of course, I used to dream of the possibility of competing at the Olympics. So yes, for those reasons, it's my favorite design of those released. My die comes with a black pouch, protective cover, and with a COA, which states it came from the Philadelphia Mint with an in-service date of August 29th, 1995, and a retirement date of September 19th, 1997, more than 2 years later. Now, that doesn't mean it was striking coins over that time period, but rather I'm assuming it was officially retired at that time to be sold. The reason stated for retirement is starburst, which I believe might be what you can see here, where little particles scratch the die and begin to spread outward. It seems to be one of the more common reasons listed for retirement. We can also see that this die was used for only 382 strikes, and since proof coins are struck at least twice, we can assume this die was used to mint less than 190 coins. According to the Mint, the Olympic dies were retired on average after only 1,250 to 4,500 individual strikes, so my die is well below those numbers. The reverse die for this coin was also released, and call me crazy, but something I've always wanted to do is match up both the obverse and reverse dies with the coin in between to visually recreate how the coin was struck. I just think it'd be cool. Well, I'm missing the reverse die, but I still want to try and very carefully match up the coin and the die. I'll be very careful, but do not try this at home as it could very well damage the coin. And look at that, that's pretty neat. Okay, so on to more info. Finding info on these dies was quite a challenge, so I'd like to thank all the Stevens that helped answer my questions. That would include Stephen Bida, Stephen Fernandez, and Steve Roach. Also thanks to Mitchell, who posted his collection and lots of info on these as well. As always, I'll leave links in the description below to all the pages I'm referencing in this video. The story behind these dies goes that since sales of the commemorative Olympic coins were disappointingly low, the Mint decided to do something unprecedented by offering the dies used in the program for sale to the public in order to create interest in the series and to hopefully boost sales. The dies offered for sale included $5 gold coin dies in both proof and uncirculated versions from the West Point Mint, and the proof-only silver dollar dies from the Philadelphia Mint. The Mint did not sell any of the Denver Mint uncirculated silver dies or any of the half-dollar dies. According to Stephen Bida's article in The Numismatist, no half-dollar dies were released, apparently because the Mint had qualms about publicly dispersing coin dies for a denomination that still circulated. So the Mint offered a total of 2,833 X-cancelled dies in its 1997 holiday catalog for $49 each, although no choice was given between denomination or between obverse and reverse dies. Because of the high demand and low availability, there were many orders which did not get fulfilled. There were a total of 10 silver dollar proof coin dies released. The population numbers of all 8 obverse dies range between 135 and 220, with the reverse dies having populations of 375 for the 1995 and 632 for the 1996. So you can see that both of the reverse dies are the most common, with the 96 reverse die more than tripling most of the other die populations. Here's a complete set posted by Mitchell of the $1 proof coin dies, all 10 of them together, which is really cool, and I've added the population numbers to this image for reference. There were 6 different designs of the $5 gold coin dies released in both UNC and proof versions for a total of 12 different dies. These dies are on average about 10 times scarcer than the $1 proof dies. The scarcest die ever sold by the US Mint is the $5 proof Torch Runner die, with a population of only 8. Which means there can only be a maximum total of 8 complete sets assembled. And I'm not sure if anyone has actually done it yet. Mitchell once again has several of these dies, and you can see that for the most part, the proof dies are a lot more impressive and desirable visually, since the unk dies look somewhat dull in comparison. As far as current prices on these, the $1 dies currently sell for between $600 and $700, depending on condition, design, rarity, and whether they come with the original COA, pouch, and cap or not. The $5 dies are quite a bit more expensive, but it was harder for me to find comps on these since they're so scarce. I found a 1996 proof cauldron die with a population of 60 that recently sold for $2,500 on eBay. Again, there are various factors involved, but you can expect to pay over $1,000 for a $5 die, just because of how scarce they are. So if you were lucky enough to have purchased one of these Olympic dies when they were first issued at only $49 a piece, you made a great investment, since your die is now worth between $600 and $2,500. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the rest of the dies released by the US Mint, which were completely defaced. I personally love the X method of canceling dies because you can still enjoy so much of the original die face. But it's been more than 25 years since they were released, and since then the Mint has unfortunately opted instead for releasing completely defaced dies. But something you may not know is that the X canceling method has been around for quite a while. Just by searching past listings on heritage auctions, I came across multiple X canceled dies, which I think are really cool. So I really wish the Mint would once again release some X canceled dies in a coin and die set, but more on that in my video on the history of modern US Mint dies. I know there are concerns about potential counterfeiting and fake errors and such, but those same concerns were raised before the release of the Olympic dies, and nothing has really come of it. The only bit of controversy regarding these dies had to do with a really interesting story about a gentleman named Kelly Finnegan, who in 2013 decided to use one of these track dies to mint 100 3-piece metal sets at the Regency Mint, which is a private mint. It's funny because what most people seem to have been concerned about at the time was whether or not it was legal to use a cancelled US Mint die to strike privately minted metals. But in the end, what actually ended up being an issue was quote-unquote using the Olympic rings logo on the metals. I believe the USOC and Regency Mint reached a settlement over the metals, but many, if not all, of the sets had already been sold. The 3 metals in each set consisted of a 1-ounce silver version and 2 bimetallic pieces with a half-ounce silver core and an outer ring of brass and the other of copper. There are multiple articles on this story, so I'll leave several links below if you're interested in more of the details. Well, that just about covers everything you need to know about these unique Olympic X-cancelled dies. In my next video, we'll talk about the 1998 coin and die sets, which were the first circulation coinage dies sold by the US Mint, so stay tuned for that video. Let me know your thoughts on the Olympic coin dies in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and share it with a numismatic friend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.